he couldn't move around the ring, and so he had to stand toe-to-toe. I mean, that is legendary behavior in the ring. Legendary. And this Conor Benn, as I said, Conor Benn is an extraordinary fighter. You know, he's gone pear-shaped somewhere, but an extraordinary fighter. I am so proud of him. That's my son.
Yeah, I want the revenge, man. I want my revenge. I think inactivity played a big part. It's quite hard.
But I want to talk about the performance, the heart, the mentality, and the never say die spirit from Conor Benn tonight, because I can't believe what I witnessed. There's going to the well and there's going to the well, and just never ever giving in, but never stop trying to win the fight.
Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about the decision. It could have gone either way. What else can I say? Just a good fight. Just looking forward to the rematch now. You know, to go through a fight like that and come through. You know, and so I'm happy that, you know, that he'll come back stronger. He'll come back stronger. That's what I'm looking forward to.
A really good fight. I think it was a lot closer than what it was. Commend Conor Benn immensely because he put on an amazing performance. Remember, he's a welterweight. Never really boxed at world-class level at 160 or around that. Chris has more experience on the world scene than Conor has, but Conor did himself proud. I think the right man won.
It was a phenomenal fight. One of the great scraps I think we've had in a British ring. What atmosphere. Next, I think Conor wants it next. Eddie was talking about maybe going down in weight, and I think that if they want to get it on, they do it again, you know, in 6 months' time, and we will come back.
It's the type of fighter, you know, when you're fighting someone like Conor that's coming to try and take your head off.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're keeping them at bay and keeping on top of them, there's always room, there's always small margins, and risk involved. So, Junior, you know, dominated the later rounds as he needed to, and at his age, that's impressive.
Yeah, and you know, he done the right thing, Eubank. He used his experience in the last couple of rounds. I felt like, you know, he's using his weight and his experience to push Conor back. But listen, Conor will learn from that, you know. And if they box again, that won't happen the next time. But that'll be the difference. And,
the right man won. Chris Eubank Jr. Fair play to him. Conor Benn, he did himself proud. He tried his heart out. But like I said, I enjoyed it. The right man won. Chris Eubank Jr. for me has done everything he needs to do. He's just earned a massive payday there, and he can retire now on the crest of the wave with his chin held high, smiling now for the rest of his life. He's cemented his legacy.
I expected it to be an easier fight for Eubank Jr. It became an absolute war. It became a classic. I think after 6 or 7 rounds, Chris really realised he was in a serious fight, and it just became about grit and determination. They were swinging from the rooftops.
What a fight. Always to the last bell. I probably had the first few to Conor, and then I probably had Eubank winning most of the last 8, but it was so competitive, like back and forth, punch for punch. It was an amazing fight, but I think that Eubank did deserve to win.
Well, what do you think was the difference between the performance of the fighters?
I think Chris finished all the exchanges, you know. I think he finished strong in the exchanges. 12th round was big. I'm happy for him. I like Conor. I love Conor. He's a very good guy. And, a lot of people look up to him, and I have to do it again. I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
He's been a very good fighter, much better than me, but he's done at the top level. I think we'll see him box Ben one more time, and I think that will be him done. I'm a Eubank fan. As for Ben, he'll fight Eubank again. Under the same conditions as today. 160 the day before, 170 morning off. You know, he's had a good fight there.
And those two warriors, gladiators, they both dug down deep. They took their best shots. They took best shots. They came back. They fought right to the end. It's an absolute great fight. They fought with pride, determination, and they wanted to win because they were fighting for their history, their family history, and it was just an amazing event. It was one of the best fights I've seen for a long, long time.
What you just said, Eubank was totally spent. He was gone. There was nothing left. I said to Steve off air, I said to him, he got nothing left, mate. He's totally he was punching through treacle. It was like slow motion. And the kid went back to the corner, and I thought, he's done this round.
Conor, Chris delivered. You know, I say this before. I was like, whoever loses this fight is gonna tarnish the dad's name. Nah. He can walk out there. Conor can walk out there, head up high. You know, go home to his family safe and sound. The way he boxed and the way Chris boxed was unbelievable. All I want to say is, oh my goodness, that was beautiful, man. We enjoyed it. Listen, I was shaking. Not because it was cold here, because the fight was just beautiful. I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to see a rematch.
Great to see you, Derek.
Johnny Nelson offered a fair and insightful take on the bout, emphasizing how close and competitive it truly was, much more so than the final scorecards might indicate. He expressed particular admiration for Conor Benn's effort, especially given the significant challenge of moving up to middleweight, 160 lbs, a weight class unfamiliar to him. Normally, fighting as a welterweight, Benn impressed with his toughness and technical ability, which Nelson felt deserved significant recognition. Nonetheless, Nelson pointed out that Chris Eubank Jr. held the advantage, largely due to his greater experience on the world stage. With a history of competing at higher weight classes and a solid track record at championship level, Eubank showed why he's viewed as a veteran in the sport. According to Nelson, Benn gave a valiant performance and should be proud, but the more experienced and tactically sound fighter ultimately came out on top. The match wasn't one-sided by any means, but it served as a reminder of how crucial experience can be in top-tier boxing contests.
I think the fight was a lot closer. I think Conor put on an amazing performance, absolutely heartbroken and devastated. But he needs to be proud of himself. His stock's gone up. Chris, you know, put on a performance of saying, I'm not losing to this boy. I'm not losing to this boy.
Johnny Nelson highlighted how unexpectedly close the fight turned out to be. He praised Conor Benn for delivering an outstanding performance, especially considering the pressure he faced moving up in weight to challenge a more seasoned and naturally bigger opponent like Chris Eubank Jr. Although Benn didn't come away with the win, Nelson stressed that he should be proud. His reputation has only grown stronger as a result. Benn's showing in the ring displayed not only determination, but also impressive skill, earning him widespread respect. Meanwhile, Eubank's resolve to assert his dominance as the naturally larger fighter played a key part in securing the victory. He seemed intent on proving that a welterweight wouldn't be able to beat him at middleweight, reinforcing his confidence and control at 160 lbs. Despite the loss, Nelson sees a promising road ahead for Benn. This performance, though it ended in defeat, raised expectations and could open the door to even bigger opportunities down the line.
So Conor Benn was never going to beat him. The fight wasn't close for me. I made Eubank win by at least 3 rounds, maybe 4. And, you know, they're not crying about it, neither of them, mind you, because, you know, I think Eubank was on 10 million guaranteed. Conor Benn's on 7 million guaranteed. That's ridiculous money. And I'm not going to say it was a ridiculous fight. It wasn't a ridiculous fight. It was an entertaining fight.
Duke McKenzie didn't hold back in his assessment of Chris Eubank Jr.'s clear-cut victory over Conor Benn. From his perspective, the outcome was never in question. He firmly believes Benn was never in a position to win. McKenzie had the fight scored decisively in Eubank's favor by at least 3 or 4 rounds. He also noted that there was little protest from either camp post-fight, largely due to the enormous guaranteed payouts both fighters secured. Eubank reportedly earned around $10 million, while Benn took home $7 million, making the financial stakes sky-high. But beyond the money, McKenzie emphasized that what really mattered was the respect earned inside the ropes. Importantly, he dismissed the idea that this was some kind of spectacle or sideshow. In his view, it was a legitimate, hard-fought contest that entertained and delivered. For McKenzie, the fight was a proving ground, a moment to see who truly deserved to be on boxing's biggest stages. And in the end, Eubank emerged with a dull, commanding, unquestioned win.
That's what you call a classic. I think the right man won, but it was a great fight from both parts.
Many had a draw, but that was unanimous in the end.
Yeah, I think the right man won. But it was a great fight. Both had great heart. and it was the fans loved it.
Ben Whittaker was full of praise for the intense battle between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, describing it as nothing short of a modern classic. He strongly felt that the result was fair, even though many fans in the arena and across social media had called for a draw. In Whittaker's view, Eubank Jr. had done just enough to secure the victory, and the judges got it right. What truly captured Whittaker's attention, though, was the raw determination and courage shown by both fighters. This wasn't just another night at the fights. It was a thrilling contest that had fans on their feet from the opening bell. Both men showed extraordinary heart and resilience, digging deep when it mattered most, with the crowd feeding off their energy in electrifying fashion. For Whittaker, this was one of those rare events that showcased everything that makes boxing special: intensity, emotion, and the kind of warrior spirit that keeps fans coming back for more.
Conor Benn's come out of a lot of credit, in my opinion. You know, he weathered the storm and he dug deep against the bigger guy, and Chris Eubank Jr. Dug deep, really deep at times. I don't think he enjoyed that at all, and he never lets his guard down outside the ring. He does a few times inside the ring, but outside the ring
Derek Chisora was visibly thrilled after watching the explosive clash between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, offering high praise for both fighters after what he called a truly spectacular war. According to Chisora, like every fan packed into the arena, he was completely captivated from the opening round to the final bell. The unrelenting action, raw intensity, and emotional back and forth had all the ingredients of a classic. And Chisora didn't hesitate to say the fight exceeded the hype. He applauded both men for showcasing incredible toughness and a relentless will to win. Exactly the kind of fight that reminds fans why they love the sport. When asked about a potential rematch, Chisora didn't blink. He's fully on board. In his view, there's still unfinished business between Eubank Jr. and Benn, and a second encounter would not only be bigger, but even more intense. For Chisora, a rematch isn't just wanted, it's needed.
Congratulations to Chris. Congratulations to Conor for putting a beautiful, beautiful fight. You know, I enjoyed that. I think everybody enjoyed that. You know, it was unbelievable.
Would you like to see it again, or Chris done enough?
Yes, we would like to see it again.
Michael Buffer was clearly energized after witnessing the electrifying showdown between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, calling it one of the most thrilling bouts he's seen in recent years. He highlighted how the clash of styles between the two fighters made for an unforgettable spectacle, pure boxing drama at its finest. What really impressed Buffer was Conor Benn's fearless approach. Despite conceding nearly 18 pounds in weight, Benn fought with relentless aggression, refusing to take a backward step and pushing the action from start to finish. Buffer also took a moment to praise the incredible British crowd, declaring them the best fans in the world. With nearly 70,000 in attendance, the energy in the arena was absolutely electric. From the raw intensity to the emotional stakes, Buffer described the entire night as a textbook example of why boxing continues to captivate audiences across the globe. For him, this was more than just a fight. It was a moment fans will be talking about for years to come. And after such a spectacular event, he's certain the demand for more is only just beginning.
I could see what a great match that would be. They have a similar physicality, and it was just so exciting to see two guys. And as for Conor Benn, he had to give away 18 pounds maybe. He never took a step backwards, and almost 70,000 fans, British fans, are still the best, no doubt about it. Great night of boxing.
Spencer Fearon didn't sugarcoat his reaction to the brutal contest between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, offering a raw and honest breakdown of what unfolded in the ring. He made it clear that Benn's power simply doesn't translate at 154 pounds, let alone against a full-sized middleweight like Eubank. For Fearon, this matchup was always going to be a steep uphill battle for Benn. He noted that Benn appeared to be forcing his shots, swinging with urgency in hopes of landing a game-changing punch that, realistically, was never likely to come. Despite that, Fearon gave Benn major credit for his heart and willingness to leave everything in the ring, showing courage even in the face of overwhelming odds. At the same time, he applauded Chris Eubank Jr. for silencing critics who questioned whether he'd even make weight or handle the pressure. Fearon had predicted the bout would go the distance, and it did, highlighting Eubank's resilience, control, and experience as key factors in the win.
Conor Benn is not a concussive puncher. It seems to be at 154. He's up against a big middleweight, right? That's number one. Conor Benn was too desperate trying to knock out a guy who was loading up too much, but he fought his heart out, and all the credit in the world should be given to Conor Benn. Chris Eubank Jr., all the credit in the world should be given to him, because we was looking at this like, oh, well, can he do the weight? What's going to happen now? He's going to get knocked out, all the rest of it. And I mean, I had a real strong feeling that this was going to go.
Jonathan Banks didn't hold back in his praise for Chris Eubank Jr., crediting him with delivering a masterclass performance against Conor Benn in what became a globally watched showdown. According to Banks, it was Eubank's composure, tactical discipline, and ring intelligence that ultimately set him apart on the night. While some expected Eubank to go for an early stoppage, Banks explained that the actual game plan was far more strategic, wear Benn down round by round, forcing him into mistakes and rushed offense. As Benn began to swing wildly in search of a knockout, Eubank remained poised, picking his moments with clinical precision. For Banks, that calm under fire is the hallmark of a true elite-level fighter. He also took aim at those who doubted Eubank's ability to manage the weight cut or deal with the physical demands of the bout. In Banks' eyes, Eubank silenced all the skeptics and proved exactly why he's still a major force in the sport.
I was happy, but I already knew what he could do, so I wasn't impressed, wasn't about it. But I knew what he could do, and I'm happy he done it. He was listening, and he did exactly what I thought he'd do, and I'm happy about it.
The big question now is, what's next for Chris Eubank Jr., and who will be brave enough to challenge him after such a dominant performance? Stay tuned, as this exciting journey is only getting started.